All right, so we will call the Selectmen's meeting to order at 5 p.m. First up is to approve and sign the minutes from the August 9th meeting. Do you guys have any modifications to those?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I abstain, so it's not here. Next up, we have the meeting minutes from August 23rd. Any discussion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, I'll second. All those in favor? Aye. All those that abstain?
Aye.
Okay. Next, Mark Sillingham. Are you prepared? You're next up on the agenda to speak about Meriam Woods and Tripoli Road.
Yeah, so basically just a follow-up to the meeting that we had. The conservation easement that's on the property.
Okay.
And when we met the other day, in my opinion, we had a bunch of bullets. I think we should be tracking the bullets. Who's is a piece next to Meriam Woods, that's the town's. Is that part of the conservation easement? The road, I know we're kind of waiting on some answers from Laura, but I just wanted to put it out there so we can start tracking and following on that.
Okay. Jim, have you and Kristen been able to secure a date with Laura yet?
We have a Zoom meeting, to back up one more, just a minute now.
Okay,
When we met with Mark and other people down at the trailhead, Gil Rand became the selectman representative to the Woodstock Conservation Commission, which I think is a very important step because this is a very important issue. We are having a Zoom meeting with Laura, the town council, on Thursday this week at 10 a.m. And at that point, we hope that we will be able, I'm still waiting to hear about the property next to Meriam Woods. My reading of everything that I've seen is that that's a separate piece of property and it would not be under the jurisdiction of the deed for Meriam Woods. But the purpose of this meeting is so that since the Woodstock Conservation Commission is in charge of managing this property, is for us, with the advice of council, to go through and see what we can do to remedy the work that is being done by outside interests. For those people who aren't aware, some climbing clubs have gone in and put up signs on trees, they've not cut down live trees, they've removed dead trees from the trails. They have put pitons into the climbing rocks. They've created maps that show 99 different hiking trails within this parcel of land. And they left ropes and other things there, none of which are things that the Conservation Commission thinks should be taking place. The question becomes, how do we legally stop them? So we hope to get some answers to questions such as what is the status of the road, the state road there, or is it class, what we were questioning was class 4. Class 4, we
Yeah.
need to find out whether it's a class 4. We're going to post the land as being part of the Meriam Woods, owned by the town of Woodstock, as a conservation easement. That has not been done, to the point where if you interview some of the people who are going into climb, they don't know who owns the property. According to the website, they think it's in Waterville Valley. So there's lots of misinformation there that we hope that signage will be able to do. At the very least, we want them to have to remove all of the things that they put there. And then also see if we can get them to change what they're posting on their websites. And then the last issue I have, Mark, and I'm not sure whether you have others, is one of the biggest issues is that there's 40 cars there on any given good climbing day. And this is creating a problem with litter and things on the side of the road there. And while many times we hear the claim that the climbers are good stewards of the land, I think good stewards of the land don't leave any signs that they've been there when they're there. So we'll have more information on Thursday. We'll have specific items that need to be done. As I remember now, I'm supposed to, after Thursday's meeting, contact the Society for the Protection of the New Hampshire Forests, because they are the ones who will get the land if the town does not maintain it according to the deed. And Laura, the council, thought that it was good to make them aware of what's going on at this point. But maybe, just to keep them informed. But she also asked me to wait until after we meet on Thursday to do that. So that will be at least one of the things that we're doing. Mark, is there anything I missed?
No, I just, quick question, how long does it take to find out if this is a class 4 road?
I think Laura on Thursday will have better
She
answers.
probably will know that by Thursday.
Let's hope.
It's on my list to ask her. I hope she knows.
She was the one who asked the question about the other parcel of land,
Right.
what the deed title actually states for the tiny chunk.
I was on the site today, and they show a little bit of the Tripoli entrance, but they also show coming up the other side from Cox Farm Road quite a bit, where they hike up from there too.
That's a different, the trailhead that's marked out, pinned out at the cell tower, if that's what you're talking
yeah,
about.
well, it ends up there.
Anybody can drop, they dropped a pin just for location to label Russell Crag parking right on Tripoli Road. I mean, you
Well,
can do that.
I've seen that. They also have,
It's a different person that's done that.
I was on that site today, and we haven't measured it, but it's almost 120 acres, 119.56 acres, so it's a pretty sizable chunk.
So hopefully we'll have more answers after Thursday's meeting, and then we can bring that forth to the next meeting.
Yeah, 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks, yeah. 4th, right? Great, thank you both. Next up, we have Mike Donahue, who has some questions regarding the select board meetings, rules and procedures.
Yeah.
Mike?
I have requested to be on the agenda. I just want to talk to you about the rules and procedure for public participation.
Sure.
I understand that, the reasons try to keep a meeting formal and moving forward to get something done. And you guys have now switched to you only participate if you're on the agenda or an item that comes before you tonight. I think that's a little more restrictive than it should be. I think you're limiting civic engagement by citizens of the town. Used to be, if people come in, they might have a simple question they want to ask and they can't, they're not on the agenda. And I think it's scaring a lot of people away. I've run into a lot of people that say, geez, I wanted to go, but I don't want to get on the agenda. I didn't have time, whatever. I don't know why we can't come in and ask simple questions. And if it becomes more than that, you got the opportunity to tell them, well, get on the agenda if it's something that requires any type of information or something. I'll give you an example. I'd like to ask, why do we have a police officer at our meetings now? Do I gotta get on the agenda to ask that question?
I'd love to answer that question.
No, I'm asking that.
Well, any department has invited to come in.
No, I understand that, but it's not all
not.
that. You know, sometimes it's just another officer, which is, you know, is tax dollars going to have them. I'm just asking why. Does the board feel that the meetings are too rowdy? I mean,
No,
is that it? I mean,
no, it's certainly not.
no, I'm asking.
I would love to address your question. I'm here because I'm interested.
Yeah.
This is an excellent way to get information, to find out how everybody feels, to get to know the townspeople. I want to be here. I spend more time with our town than I do in my own. I don't go to my own town meetings. I don't go to the select board meetings. This is my town. Other officers like, oh, what's going on over there? I encourage them to come sit and pay attention. A couple of them have raised their hand and said they want to, and go ahead, go sit out back. Nobody's being forced to come here. Nobody's asked us to come here. We all just want to be here.
No, simple question, simple answer.
Yes.
To your point, there's no reason why this whole thing can't be tweaked a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm
There's
asking.
nothing chiseled in stone to speak of,
Well,
but you know, in the past, and we've discussed this before, that sometimes it turns into a social event and they get.
oh, no, and I understand, and
Yeah.
it's great to have public participation at the end of the meeting. And that way you've gone through all your formal business. You come to the end of the meeting, and if somebody's here and they got a question, they say, well, shit, you know, because you always announce, we can't ask a question, it might be simple, why are the flowers red in the park and not yellow? Who knows, people got odd questions, but I just feel the way it is, you're starting to limit the civic engagement of the people.
I don't think it limits it.
Well, I think some
People
people,
can
some
speak
people,
out, people can
Cheryl,
talk.
yeah, but not everybody's comfortable coming to a meeting, not everybody's me, I guess, and asking a stupid question, or what you may think is a stupid
Well,
question, or I.
if they don't want to come to a
ask.
meeting, then how would they ask the question?
Because they don't feel comfortable to come, let's say.
But how would they present a question if they didn't come? If they're
Well, when
not
they have to
comfortable
get on the
coming to a
agenda or
meeting
something.
setting,
I mean, I've done it myself, come Friday at 3 o'clock, I said, you got damn, I was supposed to have it in by noon time. I ain't gonna put it in that noon time. I'm not looking for favor. But I just feel that it was always time when the public could participate. They may have a real simple question that to them it's important. And they don't want to put it on the agenda. Like I said, maybe they want to know why the flowers are red, not blue down the common, or who knows what. I'm sure that ain't gonna be one of your questions, but I'm just trying to give you an example.
yeah, but I think there's benefits to having it on the agenda too, so that there can be engagement from other community members. They may see, oh, Mike has questions about the select board rules and procedures. I'd like to weigh in on that, so they attend the meeting. Whereas if it comes in under general public participation, it's not public participation.
In my opinion, it's more of a stifling mechanism. I mean, we did the same thing at the school board, that's why
We
they
haven't
did it.
stifled
Stifled
anybody.
it.
Everybody can come
But
and
I
talk.
mean, and if really is a simple question, we can ask one of us, you know.
Well, that's.
We're not on
I
the
think the
unreachable.
goal is we want to be prepared.
Well, that's what I said,
On the
it's a
agenda.
question where I'm coming in, I wanna know what's the welfare balance tonight. I don't expect you to have that, you should be able to get on the agenda, Mike, and ask that question. But the simple
Well, I
question.
think we
just
haven't
asked was
limited
an
that.
example. I was trying to think of something,
I think someone asked a question a few weeks ago that we took it down and came back to the next meeting with it.
We can certainly do that. I certainly don't have any problem tweaking it at the end a little bit. For items like that, you know, people may have a simple question, just hopefully we'll have the answer, but if we don't,
Well, you get
You know,
so little
let's-
participation as it is from the public, I would think anything to try to curb it isn't a good idea. You know, some people are just uncomfortable knowing that they can't just come in and ask a question, and they don't follow up to it, and then, you know, and then they're talking to their neighbor, and then it gets out of control.
you know, I understand what you mean.
Take it under advisement, review it, and then come back next meeting with
Sure.
our decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's high, it's a high area, you know what I'm saying, because. You know,
Oh,
I just, I agree with Mike. It seems to me like, you're on the agenda, you get a chance to stack the deck, you know what the people are gonna ask you. you're gonna have an answer for him before he comes in, whether the flowers are red or yellow.
Well,
That,
first
I
of
didn't know
all,
what you there.
That's the point.
why aren't you
We
coming to?
wanna know
you're
the
coming here for
answers.
the answer.
If someone
Yeah,
puts
yeah,
on the
there's a lot
agenda,
of
we want to know what the answers are.
How are we stacking the deck? I'm curious as to what you mean by that statement. If you would like to come in and get an actual answer to a question that night, we'd like to do that for you. Or would you like to come in, make a point, try to get a question answered, and we go, you'll have to come back in 2 weeks. So I don't see how we're stacking the deck. We want to do the
Well,
research
I
so we
think
give
we're
an answer.
scaring people off, like Mike said. So, and then you've always done in the past that if, you didn't have an answer for any one of us here, you would just say, well, we'll table that till the next meeting. So, I mean, that's just a cop out as far as I can see. As far as you saying that, like Mike said, there'd be more participation if you didn't have to be on the agenda. Or take a half an hour out of your time to come down and tell Judy we want to be on the agenda to speak about the flowers in the park. So, I mean, not just sitting up there. If you want to cut somebody short like me right now, we just have to say, hey, you're gonna be on the agenda, next meeting, we'll talk about this. But to scare the public off, like Mike said, I've heard this in numerous people too. Same thing, that I'm not taking 15 minutes or 20 minutes out of my time to drive to the town office or give Judy a call to be on the agenda to talk to you about that.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Mark. Marcus?
I totally agree. I can say it, I'm not in a lot of meetings. I remember sitting back here thinking, I think specifically it was the School Street issue with the Woodstock Inn. And it didn't get mentioned through the whole meeting, and I thought there was gonna be discussion on it. And without being on the agenda, you can't bring it up in discussion, and I think that's, if it's has been discussed in a previous meeting and someone sees it online or physically here, you think about it after you leave and you start getting questions in your head, you want to raise a question the next week. If it's been discussed the meeting before, or 6 meetings before, you already know your research. You've got your homework done. It's just another question. It should be decent. And I do think public participation discussion would be better off served if it was more open in the end. Just saying.
Appreciate your opinion. Yes, Patrick.
When the school board did this years ago, I brought up, I think I was on the school board at the time, that I don't think it's right because the public has a right to address their elected officials. And they should be able to come to the meeting that is meant to do that and be able to discuss things with them. Now, Gil brought up a good point, as it became a social hour. Most of that, Gil, was that when the 3 selectmen, you, Joe, and Jimmy, were up there, and I was the only one sitting in the room. And we'd have a couple of good laughs during the meeting, but the work got accomplished. And I understand now there's a few more people attending the meeting and it could get out of hand. But it's easy for the chairman to knock a gavel down and say, okay, enough's enough. But it's just, I just firmly believe that the public has a right to address their elected officials as a group. Okay, not, I meet Gil at the post office, I bump into you wherever, or I see Scott when he's carrying a hamburger out to somebody, whatever it is. Okay, I think as a group, we have a right to address you guys, and that, I just, we're not, this isn't the city of Boston, this isn't Concord, it isn't Manchester. This is Woodstock, New Hampshire. Okay, we're all neighbors, and most of us are friends, or at least friendly towards each other. The last town info, I was on it there, a couple of weeks ago. 1,384 people was the last census that's posted on the New Hampshire info page for the town of Woodstock. Okay, 1,384 residents. Okay, and there's only, 10 people here. And, we should be able to address it. It's how hard a hand is it going to get? All right, we're a small town, everybody knows everybody else, and we should be able to address each other. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. But like I said, we'll take it under advisement, we'll review these, we'll draft something, we'll just run by Laura real quick, just a blessing, and then we'll bring them back to the next meeting. With any changes, okay? Sounds good? No, thank you. Next up, street parking ordinance and waivers. So first thing we have up, as we mentioned a couple meetings ago, we had met with the town attorney to address the vehicle parking ordinances and the public streets and sidewalk ordinances. So we've made some edits. We found that one of the, I think it was the street parking, was unnecessary, and the public vendors ordinance was unnecessary and could be combined into the vehicle parking ordinance and the public streets and sidewalks. And so we took a couple pieces and merged them in. For anybody that would like copies of those new ordinances, they're right there on the corner of the desk by the chief alarm.
Anybody else want them up here? All right.
Thank you, Patrick.
School secretary.
You hired as a homeowner too.
Yeah, Kevin, he's the homeowner. I'll look at that, just the right amount. Okay, you want, yeah. That's all right, he's all gonna be done like.
So,
Thank you.
we received these by email, or in board pack, I should say, earlier today to review before the meeting. Do either of you have any, discussion on the ordinances that, or first we'll start with the vehicle parking ordinance.
I'm gonna stay out of the whole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So you're gonna abstain from all of it. Did you have any comments?
I haven't, no.
Okay. So being none, then I would accept a motion to accept the amended vehicle parking ordinance. Or I'll make that motion, I guess.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye. All those abstain?
I'm saying, yes,
Thank you.
I'm awake.
All right, so in accordance with that vehicle parking ordinance, we also have a application of waiver of vehicle parking ordinance to address any issues with a resident that may have a broken down car that can't move off of Main Street during the hours of 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. or any other issues on being on paved portions of said streets or on sidewalks of said streets. And what would happen is individuals would complete this application that would be available online or through the town office. They would complete this, submit it to Judy, and then it would come to the next selectmen's meeting to be approved or denied. Did you see anything on the application waiver of vehicle parking ordinance that needed to be?
No.
Okay, so I would make a motion to accept the application for waiver of vehicle parking ordinance.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
All right.
All those abstain? Next up, we have the use of public streets and sidewalks / vendor ordinance. You recall, I think the public vendors, we brought over line B on this to this ordinance. Any discussion?
No, I think we should probably read this one, so people know what we're voting on.
They have them.
Okay.
They have all of them. Yeah.
You guys been able to keep up with the way we're going down through these and able to read the order about the people online?
I think anybody online from Judy, right?
Nobody online.
Can we ask questions on this now, or you want to wait for public participation?
If you have a question specific to this, that's fine.
Section 1, item A, no person shall park in the vehicle on either side of Main Street in the town of Woodstock between the hours of 1 AM and 6 AM. Any violation shall be towed away. That means the car shall be towed away. There's no violation notice or anything else. There's no parking ticket, the way I'm reading this.
During 1 AM to 6 AM, correct?
Okay, so.
And that's how it's always been. We didn't make any modifications to that.
Oh, it's always been towed away?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I recall hearing that we were giving.
Wasn't it?
No,
Oh,
No,
Mike added, that's right, Mike added that yesterday when he sat down with me.
right,
An
yeah,
hour
I do.
different, wasn't it?
No, he
No, he added
added
the
that,
violation of being
well,
towed
Mike added was that towed at owner's expense for
Yeah.
the winter time.
to make it,
What I'm saying was,
Mr. Griffin is correct. When we add the language shall, that means that's what we're doing. Everybody gets towed.
right, May.
Have to.
May,
that's a
May.
suggestion, yeah.
May.
because I would think you want to issue a ticket first, and then if you
Well,
get
that's
a,
fine,
the same car gets a ticket several nights in a row, that's a different story.
I don't know.
Or if it's an obstruction.
so the sign in the middle, I think the idea was just to make it, cohesive. The sign down in the municipal lot, I believe said, anybody that parks in the center or along the riverside during, off hours shall be towed. And I think that's why we were keeping the language consistent. And that's why
What about the new signs that went out on the street?
on Main Street, it 2-hour parking limit.
I think it just
I don't
says,
think it said anything
vehicles-
about towed, does it?
Yes, it does. I think it says vehicles will be towed at owner's expense.
Will be, yeah.
The other question I have, Cheryl, was what are we defining as Main Street? Are we defining it from the bridge where Main Street starts? Okay, by the firehouse, all the way up to Alpine? Or are we just counting it from Route 112 to Alpine? Or what are we clarifying as?
That's always been there.
But we can certainly, if we're making modifications, then we might as well
Well, there's
specify.
another
It
one.
says it down under E that, US Route 3 from where Route 3 crosses Lock River Road to the Alpine entrance, so I guess what we
On the
need to do
traffic
is
light.
bring,
I'm sorry?
It's on the traffic light to the Alpine.
Okay, well, I would assume this was being done for the business area. Okay, but there's residences down when you go south. And people that live there quite often park on the street that night.
well, there's residences off of Main Street too, and that's what, like those condos, apartments and stuff, so. But we could pull the language in E that defines the Main Street. Into section A, so it's right up front.
Language. And,
Or even, and maybe the question for Lauren was, is do we define what Main Street is? Just like Main Street, boom, is this. And whatever else, and then list the section with bullets.
Lauren, on Main Street.
That's what I would think, so then we're not constantly reiterating what Main Street is all the way down.
Maybe we should tweak it and send it back.
Yeah, I can work on that.
Yeah, this came from the meeting.
Yeah, one second, Patrick, go ahead.
This came from the meeting you guys had.
Yep.
Right,
And so she kind of just
we made some modifications.
modified it.
Okay, go ahead, Patrick.
One more thing on section A, where we were just talking about the towing. I was just gonna say, it may be towed, or are you gonna give the police the tools they need to take care of it? By saying, after 2 parking, but we're gonna, you can be issued a parking violation and may be towed, and or may be towed. Are you gonna do it where if a person is consistently doing it 2 or 3 times and gets 2 or 3 tickets, at that point, it probably should be shall be towed.
And I think this,
I think
the
the
spirit,
issue is not having, it's keeping folks, refraining folks from parking those hours. So if they know they're going to be towed, it will prevent them hopefully from being towed. And I think that first time that they do it and they're towed, hopefully they're not gonna repeat the offense.
I know ignorance of the law is no excuse, but do we have signs posted that it's a tow zone on the street?
Yes,
Okay. I don't read signs.
If I could just add that, I believe the spirit of this is for, street sweeping and line painting and snow removal.
Correct.
So we're not so concerned about the, issuing the citations. We are very concerned with when that occurs, if there's an obstruction, we need to remove it.
Right.
So just need the ability to, remove that when requested by the town.
So maybe,
Excuse me, I got something in my eye.
yep, sorry. So maybe it should be left as shall be towed so that it gives them the authority of not having to contact somebody or giving them a citation or something, or wait until he comes back to.
No, I'm just, no, I haven't, the input, but
Right,
I'm just saying, when you word it like that, it takes everything out of their hands. You know, now they may not wanna, in the middle of summer, may not wanna tow somebody. Okay, they wanna maybe give somebody a break, but this doesn't work. If you put the shall be towed in, like we discussed earlier, it doesn't give them the option. Okay, unless they're gonna violate your own ordinance. Okay, so,
The officer should have discretion on that,
yeah,
in that decision.
so you don't like the word shall.
Shall, in law language, shall means you will.
Okay.
That means anybody parked there at 1:01 a.m. gets towed. And if we don't do that, we're not doing our job.
How about will be? Does that give it a little more freedom that still makes it?
will be is the same as shall.
What's on this?
I'd be happy to play with
Is
this,
that, let's
after the
work
meeting.
together on it then.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm also concerned with G. I think that's a slippery slope that is, gonna erode motivation and morale.
And that's, she added that. didn't
she did that.
I don't know.
And I think that's to address, the waivers,
Mhm.
the applications of waivers. So,
I think you're opening a Pandora's box with G.
okay, let's work on that then.
Yeah, that-
Because I'd like to
actually
bring
sounds
these
like-
back to next meeting, so,
That company might put in the planning board, but it gets left to interpretation.
Well,
When you end up getting in trouble with it.
yeah, I'm talking about in general about ordinances, what Laura's been telling us. Whenever we write any ordinance, whether it's a height ordinance or anything like that, there should be a way to make exceptions for crazy cases or hardship cases or something like that. And unless you write in the ordinance that there's a way to do it, then there's no way to do it. That's what she's saying, any ordinance we have should have that.
Caveat, yeah.
And so just one more thing,
yes,
I'm
Patty.
sorry,
No, you're fine.
just a point of order. You've made a motion to accept these, now you
I
have to amend
understand
them.
that. We're gonna, no, don't worry about that. I got
All
it
right,
there.
sorry.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the rest of the discussion. Any other discussion on that vehicle parking? Yes, Bill.
Yes, please. On C.
Yes.
The delineation lines, and I know this is with Laura as well, the fact that there's the RSA. That if a road has been used for travel. Or bicycles or pedestrians in 20 years. Prior to 1968, it is considered a highway. So it would seem to me that within the delineated lines, what is the source of the location of those delineated lines? And also, if you go through and do this now, that question with regards to the status of that street, if that comes back that it is in fact a highway, we will be addressing this again.
I believe she reviewed it and that's why it stayed in there, but I'll circle back with her on that while I work on this with Kevin to confirm that
I'm not
delineated
sure.
9
Right.
question.
I think I was. part of
Yeah.
it.
So,
Well, on that, I gave Judy a bit of information
Mhm.
and Laura spoke to that in these line delineations. Is there information as to what school street is?
I don't know if she addressed that or not. Because it was after that meeting, so
She has it.
she has it,
That, yeah.
but I think,
I don't think she thought it made a difference, but I
Right.
we'll have to circle back with her.
right. I will circle back with her on that piece, because I don't see it in the email that she sent the ordinances, so.
And that's RSA 229 colon 1.
I have it here.
And would it be possible, since when I initially brought this up, I believe when it came back with the attorney's opinion that it was going to be in writing. And I didn't see that. Could I have it in writing, or could we have it in writing? An explanation of 229 colon 1.
Okay, yep. Great. Got that. Thank you. Yep. Anything else on that one? So at this time, I would make a motion to reverse or table to rescind, rescind the earlier motion to accept the vehicle parking ordinance. So I made a motion, second,
I'll make the motion.
okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
He motion, I second. Yeah, aye, and we have one abstain. Okay.
Maybe you should do the same on the application too. For the paper, just table now.
Table on wall, okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy to work with you on that.
Okay, let's,
If we move right over to use of public street sidewalks, vendor
yeah,
ordinances.
hold on one second, please. Let me rescind the motion to accept the application for waiver of the vehicle parking ordinance. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. All those abstain?
Same.
Now, we're gonna move on to the use of public ordinance.
We recently had an instance of soliciting. A fella that was down on his luck had a sign that said hungry at the off ramp, exit 32 off ramp.
Right.
Got a lot of attention. We come to find out that he had a warrant for his arrest. He was not hungry. All the food that people were delivering to him went in a trash bag. And he had more money on him than I did. If it wasn't for his open container and the EVW, I don't know if we would have been able to do much about it. So I think if we were to add in this section, soliciting, such as looking for donations or handouts, there may be something that we can do to help those folks along. I think he specifically targeted this area because of Highland Games last weekend.
Yep, makes sense. Okay,
So, so when you're talking about panhandling,
Very much so, yes.
you might want to check the legal aspect of that. I think there was a case, probably Massachusetts.
Concord recently enacted an ordinance and we can look into it,
Yeah, I
but
just,
it might be something we could add in here before we.
yeah, this will definitely go, whatever we add, we'll go back by Laura real quick for the, excuse me.
You may want to include the word busking. That's where a musician would sit down, open up a guitar case, sit down, play, collect donations. I have been approached with that, for that before. And they asked permission if they could, I was asked permission if they could use the gazebo at the Soldiers Park. I said yes, they weren't out in public, they were waive whatever liability and did whatever, and they made $10 or something, but we need to include that word because that's now a bit part of the vernacular.
You said that was busking, B-U-S-K,
ING.
okay, I just want to make sure I had that right.
I'm just bringing up something too, where the public's, the public's freedom stop as far as like being able to do things too. I'm just throwing that out there, not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think of some, certain religious folks that are like in the Cascade Park on, I think Sunday or something.
That would be off the street and sidewalk, as long as they weren't on the sidewalk doing it, but they were in the car.
Or just over the sidewalk. I'm just throwing it out there. They don't do any harm and they've never,
Yeah.
I've never complained, I've never heard anybody complain about it.
Right,
And they just stand there. They don't bother people, but I
Right.
just, you know.
This person in particular I'm talking about had a warrant for his arrest for lewd behavior
Oh, no,
out of the city of Lebanon.
Mm.
And that's what I'm trying to curtail anything like that before it takes hold. Because I think you'd have a lot of success asking for handouts in this area.
Oh, yeah.
And that
I
was
just think it's something to think about when you know.
Yep.
I just want to bring that up to just think of those guys.
I would be happy to have a conversation about this
Yep.
later.
We'll move on. Any other comments on that one? Okay. So then we will table, voting on that. And we'll move on to any comments or questions since we're rolling with it here. The application for permission to use streets and sidewalks and road drainage. If we're gonna make any edits, we might as well note them now and then. Bring them forth at the next meeting. I think it's pretty straightforward. Okay.
Just a question.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't seem to, I can't see anything that talks about deadlines or when you have to apply for this. You know, if busking could also be a trombone player, not just a
Right.
guitar players. And so if I was to fill out one of these applications on a Sunday morning, and then the chief came to me and said, you're not supposed to be doing this without permission. Well, I've applied for permission, they just haven't gotten back to me. So you might want to include something that says.
Some terms.
uh,
Yeah.
a
Well, it would
timeframe.
be, yeah, I think we can look at that. I think, the idea behind the application and when they get the application, it would not go on until the next, but you're saying give them a length of time. So if you submitted the application tomorrow, our next meeting isn't until 2 weeks from now. So you would not have permission to do anything. The application wouldn't be reviewed until the next selectmen's meeting. And at that point, you would get a yay or a nay. And you're saying if there's a yay, there should be a, okay, you can do this for these dates. I think in one point, yeah, it says the time period for which the permission is sought. So you would have to outline on this one
Mhm.
that you want to do it on Sunday, the 10th and November 1st or whatever.
I think you want to have something that says in order to. Have a timely address of this application, you must file it, it sounds like 2 weeks before, since you're such an important 2
Yeah.
weeks. Or because it has to go to the selectmen, right? It's not something that the town office does, right?
Cool.
Yeah, so I would think you'd want to spell out. Have to apply 2 weeks.
Yeah,
At least 2 weeks
recommend.
before.
Yeah, recommend applying 2 weeks or more before.
Is that something that has to be
in a meeting.
decided at a meeting, or can it be
It's just like,
something in the back office that says we have an application for this? You want to allow it and cut it down to 3 days instead of waiting 2 weeks. It's not, a lot of that stuff sometimes is impromptu.
I'll have to ask Laura that.
we'll have to ask the attorney on that, because I would think just like the applications for weddings at Cascade Park or usage at Staple Park,
Things,
they come to you,
unless there's a waiver involved,
right?
but all waivers can be here in the meeting.
Okay. Well, let's run that. That's
I can
just
ask
another
her.
question for Laura
Or you can.
or the attorney. Sorry. It's not used for this meeting.
I noticed on your vehicle parking application.
Okay,
You need to adjust the municipal parking lot 1, 2 to match, F.
which one are you on? Back on vehicle parking?
Yeah, you have
Okay.
no more than 72 hours, and on F it says overnight,
Okay,
match the sign, so you might want to amend that too,
okay.
or run it by her.
Let me, yeah, so F needs to have 72 hours. Adjusted from overnight.
No, you need to change the waiver to match the ordinance.
Oh, change the
Uh,
waiver. Yeah,
yeah,
I understand. That was the last one.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's still on the old style.
Okay. Good. Yeah, moving on to street parking. So the old street parking ordinance, we should table those as well, because we don't want to rescind them until we have the new ordinances in place.
Okay.
Because then that would remove. Okay,
I tell another entrance when it works.
is it around that same topic stuff? Yeah, go ahead.
We're calling these ordinances. Okay.
Yeah.
So ordinances have to be approved by the town, regulations can be made by the selectmen. Ordinances have to be approved by the town, I think.
No, if
No.
they're, no, if they're related to the street or vehicle parking, there's certain things that the selectmen can approve in selectmen's meetings, and this is one of them.
Okay, but I just, it was just wording, Julie, I
Yeah.
thought, you know, yes, I agree the selectmen can regulate parking and all this stuff, but
I thought the same thing. I
I
asked.
thought
that
it had to be
question.
a regulation where an ordinance had to go to the town meeting.
Thank you.
But if she's fine, then that's okay.
Okay, so next up, we have accept donations for the Woodstock Firefighter Fund. So we have, they did wonderful, congratulations to them, yeah,
I make a motion, we accept the $7,900 that we got.
79,5106.
5106. I forgot we
Can't
have
round
to do
off.
that.
I'll second that one.
Okay, all those in favor? And congratulations to the fire department.
Yeah,
team.
it's been- yeah,
Yeah, successful, yeah. Next up, is firefighter funds for t-shirt sales. I'll make that motion to accept, the gift of $133 in donations for the Woodstock Firefighter Fund. All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right, and now we have a pre-check request.
It's only for the last.
Right, exactly. A check request to, pay for the supplies for Lobster Fest in the amount of $1,339.39. Do I have a motion?
Yep.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do you gentlemen have any other business? Okay, public participation. Is there anything else to add? At this point, we're still on agenda items, but we will address that next week, for next meeting. All right, let me start. Mark Sillingham, Helen, Patrick. How's that? Go right around the room.
Just with regards to the application for the waivers.
Yes.
Back when I was chasing the noise ordinances came up. Where someone said if they wanted to go shooting at their house, put in an application. For the waiver, they wanted to do it Saturday. They had to wait 2 weeks to get your response, whether it was approved or not.
Okay.
That just seems like a ludicrous process, just
Mhm.
for timing, just to add to the parking waiver, and just all waivers. Waiting for you guys to meet to approve that, it just doesn't seem.
Well, that's why we're gonna check with the attorney to make sure to see if those waivers have to be in a meeting, or if it can be something that's done.
Like,
Backwards.
That
Okay.
falls in the same category as the busking thing.
everything, any waiver.
Yeah.
Any waiver application that we gotta wait 2 weeks for you to approve or get approved.
2 weeks is cumbersome, I agree.
Oh, I agree. Yep. Okay, thank you, Mark. Helen, you're next.
Well, I guess I have to ask you for next meeting.
Okay.
So I just realized can I address it and say what I want?
You can ask the question and then we will bring back and answer it at the next meeting. How's that?
Okay, it's gonna be questions about the Avery property we bought.
Okay.
Several questions on that.
Do you want to email, can you email those questions? Or do you want to speak them tonight?
I can answer.
Go ahead.
Real loud.
Yeah.
Now that we've purchased this property, okay. And when is the property gonna go up for sale, the old fire station and the town garage? Which I understand probably have to be empty.
Yeah, we're working on that.
You are working on it, okay.
No, please.
Now, I thought at town meeting, when we approved the purchase of this, that the money that we received from the sale of these two buildings was gonna go in to offset the cost of it. Okay. The loan that we got, are we able to pay it off early? Yes, it definitely can. Okay, that's my other question. Back part of the property, I was looking at it online and stuff. I noticed that during races, cars are parked there. And I noticed that there's some equipment parked back there. Do we have an agreement with the racetrack so that if somebody gets hurt driving in or out or call and it's on our property, are we covered for that or can we get sued for that? And what's our intention of using that piece of land down the road? Just out of curiosity. I mean, I do see there's some equipment there that I assume it's not ours. Yeah. Why is it there if we own the property? Are we renting land out? Or will we? That's my question. Okay, I know the reason we have to get there is for the. Are we building a new salt shed down there?
Mike told me the other day.
Yes, we are.
Okay, and it's gonna be something that we're gonna put in, that it's not gonna be put in, it's gonna be something that's gonna last us 30 years.
Oh,
And where is the money
yes,
coming from
definitely.
to pay for that, or was that included when we bought?
The money-
I can kind of tell you, doing. You
Yeah,
can say it.
the money was.
The money's been voted on the last, quite a few years ago at town meeting, they were putting money away every year to build a salt shed.
For Old Dump
In the
Road,
building?
no, in the highway.
Yeah, highway trust.
They had been
Yeah.
planning this, it was actually gonna go to Old Dump Road,
Okay,
and
okay,
So,
okay, it's already put away for.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. My next question, this has been bugging me since we put in the new water and sewer. You know, we pay for the water and sewer separate, we get billed, which I have no problem with it whatsoever. I just can't wrap my head around how it actually works. All right, now at town meeting, we vote to put X number of dollars into water and sewer and tech, the water and sewer trust fund. Now, if the regular townspeople who do not have water and sewer, how do you figure that? And then put it into. Is anybody following me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I got
and the capital reserves that we set up for water and sewer
Right. I
are
understand.
built into your base rate.
So, okay, all right, that's how we get,
That's how you fund
How do you
the
do it?
capital reserves.
okay,
And then
All
the
right, so-
basically the $5 per gallon that you're paying for the water is what covers the your operating expenses of the water.
I know you're saying,
Because we
I know you're
said
saying at a town meeting, Helen, it's separate, it's not part of the, the budget thing, it says, I would vote to send X to the,
we do, and does
it
that,
does show on your budget.
but I mean, that's coming from what we've raised in the water department, I believe.
It shows as.
So we all paying for
intermunicipal
sewer?
fund.
No,
No, it shows it coming in and it shows it transferring out on your.
Right.
I'm in the middle, I've got 10 pages actually, now I'm trying to work out the first year, and see how it worked since we started charging, to see how much we made, lost, saved, or whatever too, so.
see, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
I would really, really like to be able to see that and understand, because I can't wrap my head around.
I
it,
would too.
because when you send out our tax bill, it's for everything on that tax warrant. Okay, it's everything on, it includes everything.
No, no.
We'll get a defined, clear answer for you
Okay, thank you.
next meeting,
Um,
so that it's.
do we have
spelled out
any
clearly.
big water, do we know what condition all our water lines and sewer lines are? So that we know down the road, so that we're not gonna get stuck. Well, that we pay it, it's not being taken out of anybody's taxes.
We'll do, yeah, we'll circle back, I'll write them all down,
Okay.
yeah,
I'm
let's
gonna
get this in advance.
Generally, if we have records of when they were replaced and new or old, right now, the oldest line is down, well, right past
Or,
Potato Hill Road. Down to, well, I guess where your property ends down at the yard. And that would probably be the next one that we'd probably have to look at hard to replace.
Do we have money set aside so that we don't get on our sewer or water tap sewer fees to be covering this down the road? So we're looking, out of my $250, say, that I'm paying in every quarter. It's
Well, it may actually have to be
there.
bonded.
it'll probably be bonded.
Probably,
And
the
we've
big
been trying-
projects will be
We've
bonded.
been trying to do congressional type grants,
All right,
we're trying to
it's
get
gotta be
grants.
bonded. But how, so that's gonna go into our bill, it's not going into the other. But couldn't we be setting some money aside so that we're not
Sure.
Capital reserve.
being so hard into that?
That's a capital reserve.
Right.
Yeah.
So in your capital reserve, how much of that is already for that project? Do we have?
Now,
money set aside?
one thing I'll tell you right now, not to shut you off, we just got, two great, really nice grants. One for 70,000, one for 30,000, to do a capital assessment project on both the water system, the whole water system, and the whole wastewater system of the town. They'll stretch us out 10 or 20 years. And I was telling Mike, in the next month or so, they're gonna be coming down for public hearing. And they're gonna come out and tell us what our needs are gonna be, what we're gonna have to replace, what's gonna need to be done. So that we can plan out, 10 or 15, 20 years. So,
Right, okay.
so that is gonna be done over the winter. They're gonna go through everything. Are they better? So that's kind of their jobs.
Yeah, because, capital reserve, I should say, or capital planning for what we need down the road is, to know 10 years down the road, okay, you should put this much away each year in order to make sure you cover the cost of that. Which is really good. All right. Thanks. So far, that's what I have.
Okay, we'll circle back on most of those. Okay, and then we have Patrick. is that-
Yeah, I'm just missed the amount of the money from the Watts with us.
It was $7,951.06.
That's the largest I look.
That's commendable. Yep. Very good.
Don't we have a sewer capital reserve?
Oh,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah, we
And
have
we have a
both.
water capital reserve?
Yeah, we have two separate ones.
Okay, so people who aren't paying into the water fund, aren't paying for water and sewer, like me, I don't get water or sewer down my end of town.
Right.
I'm putting money into the water and sewer
No, you're
department.
Oh,
No,
Yes, I am, because I'm putting money into that capital reserve account. That's
Well, the thing is, you're putting money that we raised through the water fees into the capital reserve account. But the whole town has to vote to put them in.
We'll get it.
We'll get it
We'll clean
all
it
lined
up.
up for you.
no problem.
It was that way until about, 3 years ago, until my, water and sewer bill went from 20 grand to 90. So I can tell you that.
Well, you gotta stop making all that.
I know, I'm not
But
complaining.
that's
Yes,
why,
I am.
that's why the
But,
rates were revalved and.
But, I think we can go out with a clear picture for everybody.
Yeah. we'll work on that.
Expansion comes with a cost.
I know.
Alright, so-
Go on.
Okay.
and no good deed goes
Meeting,
unpunished.
Next meeting would
Go in
be,
the cell phone.
what's that?
That's gonna be all laid out next meeting.
Yep, we're gonna do our best. to
And that's a
follow
prime
it.
example of why we need a little bit of time, to get facts and figures together for people, letting them.
I
sell these
don't mind
things.
doing it this way. If you let us, you just take, you come in knowing you're not gonna get an answer right off. But,
We always felt it was a
Can you
courtesy.
present it, and then
Yeah,
if you wanna say you're gonna put it on as, on your itinerary or your.
Agenda, yep.
Agenda, and say, we're gonna talk about this. Yep, that's fine.
You're talking about similar to what you just did tonight.
Right, and I
Okay,
don't
you
know what I
addressed
wanted.
them and now you're gonna get the answers next meeting.
Right.
That's fine. Anything else?
Did everybody get?
We'll go Jim Cheeseborough and then Mike, okay?
About 3 months ago, the selectmen agreed to appoint a representative to the Pemigewasset River Local Advisory Committee.
Yes, sir.
And I am that person.
Yes.
And it's a rather important position right now. We have not been experiencing the same types of development issues that people downriver have been, as in Thornton with the Owl's Nest and expanded campgrounds right along the river and things. But it would appear that it's in our future. It's one of the things that may be happening currently. The person who's developing the Owl's Nest has purchased the White Mountain golf course in Ashland and has been trying to purchase the jack-o'-lantern. And first attempts there didn't quite work out. The reason this is important is that when a golf course or a development along the river gets property, then they're immediately trying to take water, river water, to build irrigation ponds, recreation ponds, a beach, and all of these different things. Yesterday, the town received a notice that the Pemigewasset River Corridor Management Plan is being revised, and there's a meeting to be held on September 27th at the Peace Public Library in Plymouth at 7 p.m. That's an informational meeting. They're inviting people from the communities who are on the river and town officials to attend that meeting at 7 o'clock. And if anyone has any questions, the select people, I think you got an email. Judy, did you get an email? You were supposed to, but they told me, and I insisted that they.
It might be there. I might have missed it. We had elections last
So
week,
the information, I'm going to ask Judy to post it on the website under Conservation Commission, or you can just get in touch with me if you have questions.
Are they zooming that, or is it all just public, in person?
I'm sorry, what?
Are they zooming that meeting so that the
Um,
public can participate, or is it in person only? Do you know?
Our meetings are zoomed. The board meeting is zoomed.
Okay.
It's and that's going to take place at 6:30 to 7.
Okay.
So I can find that out. That's
Yeah.
a good question.
It might allow some individuals that would like to be engaged in that or listen to it, participate, but not necessarily fill the room.
Got it.
Thanks, Jen. Anything else? No? Great report. Thank you. Mike,
Yeah, you just mentioned the sand salt shed. Can you tell us a little bit when it's going to be built and what it is?
Next meeting,
yep.
Is that fair?
What?
I have some pretty good ideas. I don't
Yep.
have all.
We'll address it next meeting.
That was curious.
I'll have it ready for you.
Any
Even before that meeting.
comments? All right, being none, I would make a motion to adjourn at 6:03 p.m.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Bye.
Aye. Thank you all for coming out this evening. Have a good night.
You do. All right. You start. All right.